Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Shana over here. We're going to give some love to the Camaro and talk about why it's going away and possibly something else replacing it. Now, we're going to get right down to it. On this list of problems with this vehicle, why GM's cutting it, why it doesn't do as good as the Challenger or Charger or I would say the Challenger, but the Mustang especially. You know, it's always been in its shadow, so I'm going to give it to the Camaro's name, Camaro. It's never been an amazing, like, oh my god, I got a Camaro. Like, we're going to say the Trans Am / Firebird was always the hotter version. It was always the hotter car. Like, there's a night and day difference between a Firebird, Trans Am, and a lot of people just say Trans Am at that point, to the Camaro. And most people, if they were to pick one, they're going to go to the Firebird. So that's one of the biggest issues, is the nameplate. There is Camaro fans out there because of its heritage and stuff like that, but because GM stopped production and then added it and then stopped it, and that's what they did, they kind of smeared the name Camaro. But it was just never a popular nameplate, in my opinion anyway. I always thought the Trans Am and the Firebird, it was just such an upgrade to the car. So the other problems that plague this car is obviously a lot of people's complaints is basically just driving it. Yeah, it drives very well, it handles very well, the performance is there, but a lot of choices were made as far as its design through the years that some people were up about and some people were down about. And the basically the overall design as far as the roof, how high it is, yada yada yada. So when you're sitting in this car, it's like very coffin-like, it's very squished. They try to take as much weight out of it as possible, make it even smaller, and that, I think they were missing. They were missing something at that point, is that they weren't realizing, like, I know people that sat in these cars, and I drove them, a few of them, and you get to talk to everybody about them, and some of them love them, but a lot of them have the same complaints, is that you can barely see out the back window. The windshield is, basically everything is just too small, and you can barely see out the car. So I think that's also what hits the Camaro. So we got the name, we got the design inside, the interior. I think the first gen interior was better. It showed more of its, like, roots than its newer interior, which I'm still questionable about as far as just the way it looks. It's not terrible, it's just not what you expect when you climb into a car that's supposed to represent something, older. So it kind of lost that in its design, especially in the interior. But overall, it's the design, and it's not bad looking, it's not terrible, besides some choices they made on the newer models. But overall, like the taillights, stuff like that, like, I think they just kind of, like, didn't know where to go with it. Again, I'm not saying it's a terrible car or it's an ugly car or anything like that. I think they're really nice cars, but we're just talking about reasons why the Camaro doesn't do that well, and it's for those reasons. It's not because of performance, not because it looks bad. It's just, it's less functional than like the other muscle cars that you can get. And I would say even the power plant's very well, and all that stuff is great, but it just loses. It's the name, it's the design overall, the driving experience. I think it loses in that department, where people are like, well, I can get a Charger with plenty of room, plenty of power. I can get a Challenger, or I can get a Mustang, which has wonderful lines, but the roof's not smashed. Like, it's not concaved in, and I don't know how you want to say it, but it's not coffin-like when you sit in a Mustang. Yeah, it's still small. It is, obviously it's still smaller than the Challenger, yada yada yada. But that roof line gives you plenty of headroom. Like, you get what I'm saying, is that, and the heritage of the interiors and stuff, even the newer ones that are coming out, are still there. Now, I really do think that they need to go back to like a 77 design with that sloping roof line That's the type of design they need to go back to. 77, 70, 77, I would say 77 and up type of design. All right, guys, so what we're talking about is the Camaro and its problems that plague it as far as why they're discontinuing the Camaro. And besides the Transformer movies and trying to make it as popular as all hell and making special 20 different thousand special models that some of you never even heard of, basically the top reasons is the name not as good as that will never be as good as a Firebird. The overall design, I think a lot of people had a problem with it, and its future designs as far as the generations that you go through, that some of the choices were very boring as far as the taillights. It's like I don't know. They just there's certain things, like, I'll tell you why it draws me away. Like, I would never buy a Camaro. I'm going to tell you the first is the name. The Challenger, Mustang, it's just better. Overall, it's just better. If GM had a Firebird sitting in a lot, that would make me walk away from a Mustang, a Challenger, especially if it had T-tops and it was just loaded with all the things that we loved about those cars in those eras. If it had the design, I know I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this one. We'll put it this way: if Chevy or GM, we'll say GM, go back to 1977, which is one of my favorite years, of the Firebird. A lot of people say Trans Am. I prefer Trans Am always than Firebird. If they went back to that design with the fastback lines, things float a little bit better, with the T-tops, I think they would have a huge winner on their hands. Now, can they bring back the Trans Am name, or aka Firebird? Actually, I should say that in reverse. They can make a GM model of the Firebird. They can bring back the name, they just can't bring back the company. So that's what they should do. That's what they should do. Is that to me would save, in a sense, save the Camaro. Is just don't get rid of it completely. Just bring a new design, to bring back the Trans Am, bring back that smooth body lines that you've seen in the last video that I showed, and you'll have a winner. You'll definitely have a winner. Get a better interior in there. You'll have a little bit more room. The performance will still be there, especially with the new Z06 the new Z06, the new engine technology. The new engine technology that they have, and as far as the Corvette in it. But that's what I see. Excuse me, my thumb's on the camera. That's what I see. I see. I know they have conversion kits. We'll put it that. I know they have conversion kits for the Camaro that make it look like a Trans Am. And to be honest, they have different variations of it, but it looks a hell of a lot better. Even though it still has the same body lines, the short roof line, the small windows and stuff like that, it still looks better in my opinion. If they were on the lot, people would be over there. Especially in those, they could have had a Smokey and a Bandit trim. They could have had so many different trims, and just bring that back. That's all you have to do, is bring that back. And I'll say this: what Mustang and Camaro, or Ford and Chevy, or /GM, are missing is what Dodge does overall. Is that they have, which sadly that's going away, which is a big mistake for Dodge, is that they have different models with the shaker hoods and the 392 and the scat packs and the wide bodies, and they have them sitting there. And when you go to like a Mustang dealership, or a Ford dealership or Chevy dealership, and you look at the Mustang and the Camaro, you don't really see a lot of special models. You might see one once in a blue moon, or a model you never heard about that's like special order. That's not going to, special orders and special editions that you make like 5 of is not going to sell the other models. I don't understand where they just don't they don't get it. They just, these companies just miss it. So stop doing that crap. Stop making like, a Hearst edition and shit like that no one's ever heard about, and you're never going to see it on the lot. Start going back to what sells, what people come in for. You make a Firebird / Trans Am, and you put it in the GM department, get it away from Chevy. They got the Corvette. They're going to do a whole Corvette thing, probably a Corvette SUV. They're just going to go all out on that thing. And trying to introduce a new muscle car, or especially a Camaro, is the Corvette is just going to demolish it. So, because if you look at the price point, people are going to spend the extra like 10, 20 grand and just go get the Corvette. I would. Much better. So that's what I'm saying, is that GM, they just need to take away the Camaro, but they need to replace it with a new Firebird, in my opinion. And that would start, and just have a GMC Firebird, or GMC, it won't be a Pontiac. Obviously they can't use the Pontiac name, but they can still use the name of the car. I know some people are all, well, they can't do that, it's always going to be a Pontiac. And I'm like, well, things changed. I mean, you got Lambo SUVs now, so who cares? Mustangs are turning into 4-door EVs. Things change, and you got to deal with it. But they can do it. They can come out with a GMC Trans Am and bring back what people have missed. But what people want is that there's packages. They have a lineup on the showroom floor. And damn it, bring back the T-Tops somehow. Some type of new update. But T-Tops, dude, I miss the T-Tops. That's what made those cars. Like, and you have convertible or hardtop or glass roof or some bullshit like that, and you need to bring that stuff back because people loved it. They want something special when they walk up. They just don't want like, well, this is the SL1 LTL, and that's another thing that plagues that car with Chevy, is their stupid ass packages. LT1Z, LT5R, T1, like, give me a break. Well, anyway, that's what I got for you guys as far as the Camaro, and hopefully GM does something about it. Later.